Hi, this is Christian and welcome to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news. Coming your way, Week 3 predictions. In the Spotlight Game of the Week, it's two NFC East rivals, as the Washington Redskins take on the New York Giants. Now, the Redskins are 0-2 and the Giants are 2-0, but these teams aren't as far off as people think they are. The Giants, well, they've started off pretty good on both sides of the ball, as Sterling Shepard, Victor Cruz, and of course Odell Beckham Jr. have led the offensive attack with Eli Manning playing pretty solid so far through 2 games. The Redskins, on the other hand, well, their quarterback play hasn't been as great. Kirk Cousins is a pretty solid quarterback, but he's been a little inaccurate with his passes in the Game 1 versus the Steelers on Monday night, and the Game 2 and a loss to Dallas at FedEx. So he'll really need to get that cleaned up against the Giants defense that has improved mightily compared to last season, where they were arguably the worst defense in the NFL. Overall, I think this should be a pretty solid game, but I think the Giants at home will get the job done. Dylan's prediction is the New York Giants. The next game on the list is the New York Jets as they take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the Chiefs have looked a little shaky to the season, as they did win Week 1, but they were down 21-3 at half, and even though they did come back, there was a lot of signs of the Chiefs just looking at the wrong place at the wrong time. In Week 2, they played pretty rough on offense. Their defense held their own, but the Houston Texans defense really shut the Chiefs offense down for the majority of the game. For the Jets, on the other hand, they probably should be 2-0, but they just didn't play well in Week 1. But in Week 2, they rebounded with a big win against their AFC East rival in the Buffalo Bills, winning 37-31. And they've really found their third receiver, Quincy Enunwa, who many people think looks like a tight end, but he's really shown that he can be a great star in this league to counter their other 2 great receivers with Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall. And of course, Matt Forte, he's one of the best running backs so far to this season, so the Jets really have a nice offense to go with their defense that has actually struggled a little bit at times, and they'll really need their offense to come through against a great Kansas City defense this week. Overall, I think it should be a pretty good game at Arrowhead, but ultimately I see the New York Jets getting the job done. Dylan's prediction is the Kansas City Chiefs. Next game is when the Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the Broncos, well, even though they were the Super Bowl champs, they've really impressed me this season, and I kind of underestimated them. I didn't think Trevor Siemian would be good enough to lead them to a 2-0 start, beating some pretty solid teams in Carolina and Indianapolis. And they take on another great team in the Cincinnati Bengals, and this will be a great test for them. The Bengals have a pretty solid offense with Andy Dalton, AJ Green, and 2-star running backs Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill. So it will be interesting to see how the Broncos defense stacks up, but they are the best defense in the NFL, and so I think they're ready for any challenge that comes their way. For Cincinnati, well, I think they're ready as well. I mean, Denver does have the top defense, but Cincinnati knows that they can hang with just about anyone. They didn't beat Pittsburgh last week, but they came pretty close, and if it wasn't for a few mistakes, they probably would have beat them in Pittsburgh. So I think the Bengals are a top AFC team and could compete with a team like Denver or New England for the Super Bowl. But overall in this game, I see the Denver Broncos getting the job done. Dylan's prediction is the Denver Broncos. The last Spotlight Game of the week is when the Arizona Cardinals travel to Ralph Wilson Stadium to take on the Buffalo Bills. Now the Bills, well, they had a tough night on Thursday Night Football, giving up 37 points to the Jets and a 37-31 loss. Even though I think the Bills' offense is slowly improving. Their defense, though, has given up a lot of big plays, and they'll really need to get that cleaned up. They played well Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, but for some reason, it was a complete 180 against the New York Jets. And I know the Jets have a pretty solid offense, but 37 points seems a little too much for them. For a Buffalo Bills defense that prides themselves on stopping the aerial attack. Now for the Arizona Cardinals, they dominated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 40-7. They had a pick 6, and they also had a lot of offensive production. Larry Fitzgerald continued his dominant play in what could be his final season, and they also had great production from their running backs, Chris Johnson and David Johnson. Overall, I think this should be a pretty entertaining game, but ultimately I see the Arizona Cardinals coming out on top. Dylan's prediction is the Arizona Cardinals. The player of the week is New York Jets running back Matt Forte. Now, a lot of people thought when Matt Forte turned 30 years old that he would slow down, as a lot of 30-year-old running backs plus do. But Matt Forte has been the exact opposite. He's looked like one of the best running backs this season, and he's proven that he can be a great factor for the Jets this season. My prediction record for this week was 6-10. Dylan's was 10-6. My overall prediction record for the entire year is 14-18, and Dylan's is 17-15. The most entertaining game was Jets versus Bills, and the upset of the week was LA defeating Seattle.